Your greatest temptation always comes just when you're on the brink of breaking through. What do I mean by that? 30 years of maturation, 40 days of testing, 3 temptations come to Jesus. And this is a pivotal moment. Do you remember that the first Adam in the garden failed his first test? He failed his first test. The enemy came and tempted him to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And he says, okay. The last Adam, it's not a coincidence that Jesus is also called the last Adam. He comes, he's tempted in the wilderness. And it was the same thing. Eat something. Remember the first temptation? Eat the fruit. Make some bread and eat it. But Jesus resists that temptation. And I want to say to you that in your life, some of you have gotten to places where you just had to pass one more thing, cross one more hurdle, go through one more door, jump through one more hoop, whatever it is, endure one more test to get there, and you messed up. Set you back weeks, years, months. Hear me when I tell you today, the greatest temptation that you'll face in your life is always when you're on the brink of the greatest breakthrough of your life. And if you're going through something right now, follow Jesus. Stand on the Word of God. Stand on the promises of God. Use the Word of God and tell the devil it is not so. Come on, somebody. The devil, you are a liar. The Word of God says, speak God's truth over your life. That's how Jesus walked away unscathed. He took truth and he applied it. The Word of God must be like a two-edged sword in your mouth. It shouldn't just be in your heart. Well, I know. No, speak what you know. Say what God says. That's the first thing I learned from Jesus, is how to overcome by using my greatest weapon. The second thing I'd like you to take from this message is this. Think about how Jesus chose Mount Hermon, the wickedest of places, to reveal His glory. The message from that is that God can take the wickedest nation, the craziest communities, the vilest families, come on somebody, and redeem it for His glory. God can take a city that's forgotten, a city that's so caught up in political turmoil where there's violence and no one has a solution to the problem. Then God can take a city and turn it around for His glory. God can take a place that was once used for witchcraft. I've heard stories about places like abortion clinics that when they left those places and people had to go in and pray, that they literally felt demonic presence leaving. They felt tangible activity in the place of demonic presence because of the souls of all those children that are killed in those places. You think this is just medical? This is medicine. No, my brothers and sisters. This is some kind of devil worship hidden and masked as a medical procedure. Some of you won't like me saying this, but I just want you to know that God is merciful. And I've heard of God taking those places and consecrating them again as places for His glory and turning them into churches and houses of worship. God can take the vilest of places, the vilest of neighborhoods, the wickedest of people. If He has set His heart on that, it will be His. And He will reveal His glory through it. Some of you need to hear this because you need to have hope for your neighborhood that you've left behind, that you grew up in, that's probably gone to hell right now, and you're wondering when and how. But how many of you know it's not up to the politicians? If people would just begin to pray and cry out to God. Come on, if we begin to pray a walk and begin to apply faith and believe God and walk through the streets and curse the smoke shops and curse the places of witchcraft and stand on the Word of God and say, this city will be a city of righteousness. God will do it. He takes pleasure in placing His feet upon places that were considered unholy and making them holy. The last thing I want you to do is always have a heavenly perspective. See things the way heaven sees them. Jesus saw His suffering as a pathway to His glory. If you and I will learn to see suffering as a preparation for our glory as well. Romans 8:18 says that I reckon that the sufferings of this present life are not worthy to be compared to the glory that shall be revealed in us. It also applies to you and I as sons and daughters of God. If you and I would learn to see our suffering and the trials and the testing that we go through in the same way, you will never be controlled by the fear of death. again for the rest of your life. Jesus says, I'm not worried about this. And as we come to Passion Week, think of Jesus, made up his mind, set his face, and says, I'm going to Jerusalem. Nothing is going to stop me. Not even you, Peter. Not you, devil. I know what I have to do. I must enter into my glory.